use Udemy. We make you use a lot of different resources, and everything is hands-on, and we make you work. And basically, the way I look at it is, you and me we're in Japan, and I got to get you into the office, because if you don't get into the office, you gotta lose your visa, like me. So you gotta know what you're doing, because it's a hard level. There's a certain level actually getting that job, and we're going for 6 figures because it's Tokyo and things ain't cheap here. We got to eat, and there's beautiful women around. If we want to date them, we got to be making some money. So it's very practical. And as you see in my class, I'm on you. I'm like, hey, are you doing your homework? Do you submit it? Are you doing group work? Are you getting things done? I'm watching, and I want to see some progress with this. And if you guys know how much I charge a pathetically low amount. So the class 5, I said you had to be a part of the conclave, and then you had to pay $60 for the Azure DevOps lab, which is pathetic. I mean, an amazingly low price that I charged, right? It's basically free. Classes 1 through 4 were entirely 100% free. And it's about your life being changed, and I'm helping you. That's it. I'm just helping you get to the next stage, the next point. That's it. So I'm guiding you. And I'm just like, if you put in the work, I'll help you get to where you need to be. You just got to trust yourself. You got to trust me. You got to trust your brothers. And if you do that, all of us will get there together. And I'm already there. So I'm kind of like putting the light, and I'm like, follow me. Come on. Don't worry. There's not as the monsters aren't there. Chewbacca got them. It's fine. Most of the worst monsters are these uneducated detractors and quiches. Those are the ones we have to worry about. Everyone else, no, man. They're rooting for you. They want you to be successful. So do I. And then lastly, before I end, you guys have to ping me again, because I got messages for you. I'm going to make sure you guys know what's going on. I'm starting a GCP class. So we're in class number 5, and we're going to GCP on the first week of March. So if you haven't been participating in the class, you can come back into it. This is the place to come in. And when I'm teaching the class now, instead of me just doing like the GUI operations, we're doing everything in Terraform. We're doing everything with GitOps. We're actually using Git. We're actually using ADO. We're actually using pipelines. So I'm teaching it in a very different manner. And that's because I'm teaching it much more real world and DevOps-y, and I'm getting you ready for that day one, that interview, that day one. You get your computer, you turn it on, so that you can be productive and you can actually lead a DevOps program, even if you don't have experience. I'm like, hey, look, I'll give you the experience. Just do the labs in the class, work with your brothers, and we'll get you there.
Yo, hey Dak, let me get a sound check, buddy.
Yo, yo, yo.
All right, bet you sound good. Hey, how's it going, man? We back at it again.
Oh man,
Um,
it's
yeah,
been well, man.
yeah. How goes it, man?
Oh man, I've been busy, man. I've mainly interviews, recruiters hitting me up. Supposed to have one coming up real soon. It's for uh, Google Cloud Architect. That's healthcare focused. Then I got another recruiter hit me up for an AI architect role, and then also another recruiter for senior solutions architect role. All of them are fully remote. All of them are six figures. So if you guys who are listening to this, stay focused, continue working in Theo's class, and uh, you all are on the way. There are definitely jobs out there. Uh, what I'm doing, and so if you guys need any additional support, you can always message me, DM me on Facebook. It'll be under my handle. And again, with that, I'll turn it back to you.
All right, bet. Yeah, and I'll give you a light brag right now. Like, I know Dak is like, he's talking to recruiters, et cetera. But I've seen Dak's LinkedIn. Old boy is legit. Um,
Hell,
like,
man, I have my
like
own
I said, he
crazy
was
articles.
yeah, old boy is legit, and I didn't know how legit he was until recently. I've said because he had been helping me prep for the my first attempt at the SAA when I was in Peru. Um, so when I actually finally saw his LinkedIn, um, it was kind of understandable why my progress and comprehension of the subject matter had 10x. So yeah, between Dak and Theo, we got these guys with the guys we talk to every week on this podcast. They are far from slouches. They are
We're
official
heavy
heavy,
hitters.
heavy hitters, bro.
And I just wanted to add on that too, man. So like I have my own since February I have weekly like magazine like articles that I publish on LinkedIn, and the kind of people I've been connecting with just this week alone. I mean, these are like directors for have their own companies that specialize in different areas of artificial intelligence and machine learning. I had someone last week who currently is a infosec officer for the FAA. He was a former CISO, for other, government projects. I mean, a principal database engineer, a global chief financial officer for Amazon Manufacturing. This is the kind of, people who's following my content just on publishing and talking about things that I know well on with data and in the cloud. And I say this to each of you all who are listening to this that are in Dio's class. You all are all capable of this. Each of you have something to talk about. And, it's just a matter of getting the speech outs, position to who you're wanting to, target, and the world's your oyster, So, it's all this is possible. I only did this in a month, and I'm already getting like heavy hitters following my content, who's connecting with me. I even got recruiters, DM me for jobs just based on the content. Because one of the things that is kind of unspoken is when people apply for jobs nowadays, they're not just looking at their resume or if they have a cover letter. They're looking at that digital footprint. So when you're publishing like articles and content on LinkedIn, for example, or on X, they're taking that into consideration when they're selecting candidates. So if you want to stand out from the rest, post your own original content on LinkedIn, whether it's on a weekly or monthly basis, and that's going to really set you apart from the competition, because it shows that you're not just okay, here's a resume of what I've done. You're showing that you actually know your stuff. You can explain it, in the most simple terms.
No, I agree. To that point, I had started, and I'm piggybacking on what you said. I had haphazardly started posting, because I'm studying some of my infographics that I've used as study materials, pieces from slideshows and mind maps, all AWS architecture related, hashtagged up and everything on LinkedIn. And I've been doing it more so as like more like journal entries for myself. I like to track my progress. When I look back, I said like, okay, I've been moving along. I've been, I have been doing something. This is documented. I'm not a slouch type thing. But to your point, just those few posts over the last month or so have shaken some of the recruiters out of the woodwork also on my email, and I'm getting like you know inquiries regarding like business analysts, but with like cloud speciality, et cetera, and a lot of that's been from the recent infographic mind map type AWS, well, cloud computing related content I was just posting on LinkedIn, but more so for for myself, almost like a journal as such.
That's you're following, like, again, it's a part of your branding, and also it's you're showing your voice. It's like you're projecting that out there, your narrative. Theo always tells us about what is your narrative, what are you trying to do. One of the ways of demonstrating that is actually talking about it. I mean, it's not, yeah, you can get your LinkedIn optimized, but if you're not demonstrating at least on a weekly basis on LinkedIn of like what you know and how that can be helpful to businesses, and how that just sharing your opinion on what's happening, that's going to set you far apart. That will like a kind of like erase and shred all the things that recruiters look for. Will tell me, well, about a time you did this, that, or the third. You've already demonstrated that, and you've even talked about it, and like you said, you've journalized that. They can see that, and so it just makes it like, hey, look, we got something here. We just want to do a formality check. Want to have you go in and interview. For the reality of it is, they just want to see if you fit within the company's culture. And you ain't got to go through all of the minutia when it comes to the technical round or to kind of stump you. No, you're going to get the right people, man, because you've already shown a position yourself as somebody that's competent, that knows their stuff, and then they can know how to break it down to molecule. And that's the most important part. When you can break it down to the molecule, to the masses, that's when you have that respect that these companies look for, and what people look for, thought leaders look for. They look for people who actually can sell and also break things down, complex subject matter, to things that are like approachable to someone that is non-technical.
No, 100%, bro. 100%. I actually have your your news article pulled up from British Broadcasting System, but actually doubling down on the SAA prepping for Theo's class and everything. I've been everything's content to me now. So I've been streaming my some of my study sessions in the members section. And then when the channel got the strike, I was streaming them over on my artificial intelligence channel. But I was gonna say this to you because studying is like a muscle, uh, and you gradually get better as you just like chip away at it and whatnot. So I found out that I could like actually prompt the Google LLM models that I'm using to like regenerate and refine my study notes and everything. Because I'm more of a visual learner, but I use Perplexity also, and they have a dialogue mode. So, as I'm getting closer to the exam, it's not so much necessary for me to go over like huge swaths of notes. It's more important that I double down on the things that I consistently get stumped on, or I need more nuance and understanding, because I'm noticing even questions I'm getting wrong, I'm not getting them wrong because I don't understand the services and the concepts. It's the way the use case was phrased or a nuance or something like that. So what I've been doing is I've been doing it, offline, but in my last recent study stream, I just I who was it in the chat? I think it was Tori. Tori was in the chat. He's in Theo's class as well. So I actually pulled up. I use Perplexity AI just for their dialogue model. So I'm actually here. I'll show you. Here we go. Let's do it. So I actually pulled Perplexity into the browser, and so I'll get. I had my actual notes out, and then I was reviewing them, and so things that over a casual, let's say like a overview or something, that I was stumped on, or I wanted more clarity to. I actually talked to the AI in real time to like help me clarify some things.
It's all about automating routine tasks efficiently.
That's perfect. That was actually a really good answer.
I'm glad that helped. If you need more details or have other questions, just let me know.
Yes, I do. Give me a second. I'm reviewing my notes real quick.
Take your time. Let me know.
Give me
Sure.
Let me see something.
Take your time, and when you're ready, feel free to share more details or questions. I'm here to help.
Okay.
No problem. Just let me know when you're ready, and we can go through it step by step.
Can you walk me through the steps for resolving EC2 network isolation and connectivity failures?
Absolutely. First, check the security groups and network ACLs to ensure they allow traffic, then verify the route tables and the subnet's configuration. Finally, check the instance's status and any VPC endpoints if you're using them.
Okay. Hold on for a second. Hey Tori.
Sure. Take your time. I'm here when you're ready.
Hey Tori, can you hear the AI talking in over the stream?
Sure. IAM architecture involves users, groups, roles, and policies. Users can Focus on the principle of least privilege. Make sure to understand AWS IAM roles, policies, and encryption options, like KMS. That's a solid foundation.
Okay, walk me through the least privilege policies.
Of course, the least privilege principle means you only give users or services the permissions they absolutely need. Start by defining the minimal access, then adjust as necessary.
Okay, IAM roles. What do they grant and what can you apply them to? Individuals, groups, or services? Give me the delineation.
Great question. IAM roles grant specific permissions, and they're typically applied to AWS services, not directly to users or groups. Users assume roles to get temporary access.
Give me a full breakdown on the IAM architecture and application.
Sure. IAM architecture involves users, groups, roles, and policies. Users can be assigned to groups or granted roles by AWS services or users for temporary access. Policies define what actions are allowed.
All right, perfect. So you see how I'm iterating using the AI to study. I first used it to consolidate my actual real notes and data sets from the practice exams, to generate like study materials for me, slideshows, mind maps, infographics, etc. And I've taken four data sets of practice exams so far, and I've consolidated my incorrect answers and stuff. So now
You've done what you've done here is an example of like a knowledge model. Let's say it's curated based on the data that you have, like that you're pulling from, and you have essentially like a working knowledge model that is curated to what your data is. It doesn't give you all of the knowledge that's out there, like an overly generalized knowledge of the cloud. It's specifically tailored towards the SAA.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now, like I said, when it's active recall instead of passive recall, because
Right.
like just reviewing a note that's you in your head, but because I can put the perplexity in dialogue mode, I can fine tune stuff that I'm still a little fuzzy on, or maybe I just need to hear someone else reiterate it to me in the language and stuff. And I can actually see progress in comprehension and speed at which I'm answering questions and stuff like that. Like I said, the AI is a game changer. If you actually know how to use it and you know how to manage your data sets and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. This kind of allude to what my handle for today's show is Data Bro Platform Gym Trainer, and so the data like platforming is kind of like I use the gym membership. Like you have Gold's Gym, you have Hotworks, you have Planet Fitness, you have like all these different gyms, right? You're taking the data assets, you're getting them trained, you're getting them pumped up, you're getting them to become to have robust, performance that you can get out of it, from business intelligence to reporting to maybe generative AI, agents. But these are gyms. The data platforms are like gyms. They're there to pump up the data and to give high performance that from that data. So in your example there, you went from like, all right, studying it, going over together to now you have a trainer. You don't just have me. Now you have a personal trainer at your gym, and he's giving you kind of like the reps that you need to pass your SAA. So that's essentially, you see how it's like, this is the gym membership concept. Now AI is not too much different from that. Data is not too much different from that. It's just that we're taking data assets, we're taking like you mentioned about IAM, we're taking like all those types of information and we're taking that information, we're making it more performant, we're making it more, like performative and applicative throughout the company, making it valuable. We're taking the oil and we're extracting it and refining it. So that's why I use the gym membership concept for that.
Yeah, spot on, bro. And yeah, to like you alluded to earlier, because it's the data set is confined to the data being used just to specifically pass the SAA. Yeah, I like how you see how concise the answers are. They're not these long, drawn out, extra technical with too much information responses and stuff. It's it's confined to the framework and the responses I need to get a concise understanding of something, and just enough to get me to pass you know what I mean? Just enough to get me to pass the exam.
You have it where it's distilled to explain things that are in simple terms, and that makes it digestible, for you to retain. People take for granted that certain people, they see themselves as being on an ivory tower, and so they just can't bring themselves down to the regular folk, so to speak. And the reality of it is, what makes a good teacher from being a great teacher. Great teachers know how to explain complex things into simple terms.
Fact.
So you have a great trainer. You have a great trainer, data bro trainer, to get you, set for the SAA.
All right, excellent. Here, let's because we're at the 28-minute mark. Let's pivot to your British Broadcasting article. This is this product human made? The race to establish an AI-free logo.
Yeah, so there's a push, as a response to all the AI slop. Is we need to label, things that are not AI slop, or things that are like human made. Whether it be books, music, different, arts. There's just a push because people want to know that the content that they're getting is like human made and not something that is fake, so to speak. That is completely computer generated. I think that's the crux of the article here.
Actually, I'm going to actually read through a bit of it, and I'll put it in the description as well, the link to the article.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
It says, is this product human made? The race to establish an AI free logo. Organizations worldwide are racing to develop a universally recognized label for human made products and services as part of the growing backlash against AI use. Declarations like proudly human, human made, no AI, and AI free are appearing across films, marketing, books, and websites. It is a response to fears that jobs or entire professions are being swept away in a wave of AI powered automation. BBC News has counted at least 8 different initiatives trying to come up with a label that could be the kind of global recognition that the Fair Trade logo has for ethically made products. But with so many competing labels as well as confusion over the definition of AI free, experts say consumers are in danger of being left confused unless a single standard can be agreed upon. AI is creating significant disruption, and competing definitions of what is human made are confusing consumers, say consumer. This is poorly written. Expert Dr. Anna Khan from Manchester Metropolitan University. A universal definition is essential to build trust, clarification, and confidence, she told BBC News. Books by people. That's funny. Books by people. No AI was used in creating, producing, or marketing of this motion picture. Let's see. The movement to create AI-free certification systems follows generative AI tools being used to replace human work and creativity in range of industries. It should be in a range of industries, including fashion, advertising, publishing, customer service, and music. They should have used AI to grammar check this article. The organizations trying to come up with the labels include companies as well as nonprofits based in the UK, Australia, and the US. How the certifications work. Some labels like No AI, Icon.com, AI Free.io, and Not by AI.fyi can be downloaded by anyone for free or for a fee without much or any auditing. Other systems like AI free cert require payment. Of course it does. And have a strict process of vetting whether or not a product has used AI or not. Auditors use professional analysts and AI detection software. But AI experts say that getting industries to agree what truly counts as human made will prove complicated as AI is integrated into so many everyday tools. I think that last point is spot on. What say you, Dak?
Yeah, so my thing about this is first is that well, hats off to Joe Tidy for writing the article here because I see that AI free logo is kind of like what we've seen this before, but it was dealing with ultra processed snacks and food back in the 80s and 90s because we had like this push, you know, the alarms for
Oh, like cage free range chicken?
like fat free, like snack wheels, and we just sugar free, and we need to use aspartame and all this other stuff, and it's like, oh, but it's healthier because it's fat free. And the reality of it is that it ended up bringing more junk in the grocery stores, and then it turns out the fat free products are actually much more of a risk to people's health than the stuff that originally that came out that was junk food. So AI free to me is now will become the new fat free because one, as the article kind of alluded to, is that there are websites out there where people have to pay. They can have to pay some type of fee to get that branding, and there could be some problems with that if because what construes as AI free and what's not AI free is very broad. And like you mentioned about cage free organic labeling, if it's under the different handlers, say like a government, it makes it very broad of what's allowable that you end up bringing in more trash that gets labeled as human as AI free. Here's an example. Let's take like a corporation. They have recorded conferences and speeches and you know product catalogs and articles that they've done in the past. Well, they can use AI to create net new content and label it as AI free. Well, the problem with that is that it's just regurgitating old content and branding it as new content. And so with just having a generalized AI free labeling, it's not human made. It's still it's still junk. So you run it. So we have to be mindful as to how we go about labeling and saying what is AI free. Because I see that AI is not necessarily the problem. I think the problem is that uh, there's just a lot of fat. There's meat on the bone. There's just too much fat. We have to have certain allowable threshold of what we say is allowable for synthetic information. Because in certain industries like healthcare or in countries where there are data sovereignty issues where the data that is within that region can only be kept and it's landlocked. So using synthetic data is actually helpful in that case because one of the things when scrubbing like data, you have to remove any kind of demographics or city location. So you anonymize that information. That's a part of it. But the other part of it too is that you have to inject synthetic noise. That synthetic data, that fake data, is used for the AI. You need that. It needs a certain amount of noise to do the modeling appropriately. It's just like when we have an oscillator. An oscillator has noise, but you tune it to where you reduce the noise. But we have the opposite with data. Data, we have to like determine what is allowable and acceptable as noise. We need to have some of it. We just have too much of it right now. And that's kind of where I'll land it.
No, I think you're spot on with that. I'm actually seeing some of the auto labeling. LinkedIn's actually started already auto labeling certain content. It's like a little circle they put on your thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
they are. Because AI can be useful. It can be augmented to help with writing and different things. Even in the arts, when we talk about singing and creating content, certain aspects of it we already have seen being used for personal use. If you think about it, music, for example, it was very expensive, to go to a recording studio to do all the production for most music. Nowadays, you can do it locally on your computer. You can do a lot of that stuff. It empowers the consumer on how much they want to put within their production, instead of having to rely upon the major studio labels. And it goes back again with data. It's like I talked about. Okay, we have the gym membership concept. Companies who they're looking at, they get blinded by, okay, well Arnold Schwarzenegger goes to Gold's Gym, or whomever the influencers, they go to this yoga studio. And so the data platforms, whether that be whichever, people are being brought on, let's go with Claude, or whomever it is, the relative it is. We need to understand the macros. Just like, again, if someone wants to understand their macros, and before looking at the gym and what equipment they have, understand your macros. The data macros, the assets that you have, understand it first. Understand what those limitations are. Understand what is it that you want to gain out of it. Do you want to, and that way you can then choose what membership you want within that gym, that data platform gym. Because you may not need to have all the premium perks. You may not even need that. You just need a couple of things in there. Okay, I need to get some initial training and inferencing. I just need to do machine learning. Machine learning models are very, very accurate before we can even go and do AI for a particular use case. So there's allowable forms of AI. It's just like there's allowable forms of synthetics. Okay, no one wants to allow steroids, but they allow different types of drugs that help with enhancing performance, athletic performance. But they're permissible, they're allowable, they're tolerated. The same thing with AI that we have to get to. You understand? So like we have to follow that same concept where don't get too caught up in let's label everything free. Let's look at understanding what our macros are to our data, and then let's look at what can we inject and allow. Because having that kind of data enhanced with AI can help make the data more performative. It's not entirely bad.
No, I agree. I think this is the beginning of a tepid response or a tepid extent at trying to regulate and rein in the ever expanding uses of AI, pretty much in every aspect, in every market, every industry, and every aspect of our life. And I think in terms of governance and what have you, and I think to a large extent, uh, the horse is way out of the barn.
You're right. You were pulling the cart before the horse. You're absolutely
Mhm.
right.
And and um and institutions, governments, bureaucracies, etc., are slow to adapt to a changing environment in and of itself in terms of regulation or anything. Even a lot of our banking regulations are still 3 decades behind. But with AI iterating at the rate that it does, I mean, you're in the industry in terms of the architectures, and if I mean, just look at how rapidly the agent models are being updated almost on a goddamn weekly basis.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
Crazy. Like
yeah.
in 8N was, that's like a month ago, it was just N8, and then it's like and oh yeah, you can use it, but but this new open
Right.
floor and Claude model is
Yeah.
basically consolidated like 8 of the steps that you would have used to use the N88 model. Like, so I don't really see the point in using it. The iteration is crazy.
Well, this is why I compare it to like the health boom back in the 80s and 90s. Like the I call it because like there was a grift. There was a huge grift from the food industry where, oh, we have sugar free, we have fat free, and they would have, there was billions of dollars that was put into promotion, getting the labels and branding on, and then it turned out that people were eating this stuff who were trying to, okay, lose weight or improve their health. They weren't improving their health. Matter of fact, they didn't even see it. They were gaining more weight off of this stuff. And so then that ended up being a push against that because in the 2000s and really in the 2010s now we went from being fat free to now being okay. Now we've got to change. We've got to refactor the food pyramid, and so like all that stuff in like 30 years, 40 years, all of that has to be refactored because it was all wrong. Because the people at play, like you mentioned, they were not like they're slow at changing, right? But people could not wait 40 years. Some people might have died because they consumed what was perceivably healthy. And it's the same thing with AI free. It's like perceivably it may be free, but one thing, and it talks about the motion picture industry. Just because it's AI free doesn't necessarily mean it's like artistically great. And I think that's one of the things that will be a silver lining with AI free is that it will drive people to be more authentically great at their craft. Because to me, like it's an excuse to say, oh, support my movie because it's AI free, support my music because it's AI free. No, look, I'll support your music if it's great, if it's got a hook. And that's generally how the consumer population works. If it's got a hook, if it sells, they're gonna go with it. So I think yeah, AI free is good, but ultimately what's gonna matter the most is authenticity and creativity at the end of the day. If it sells, that's what's gonna go. That's really what it's about.
Well, that's a good point. To piggyback on that, how there's a premium right now in the world, and has been for quite some time, on artisan handcrafted products with or any item, and classically trained artists who can do who can restore Renaissance era classical works of art, fine arts with regard to uh, portrait artists, things of that nature, who can make photograph quality hand paintings in oil and things of that nature, right?
Right, right.
And there's a premium on those products. The same with a number of fine Swiss watches, where every component is handmade, et cetera, et cetera. And like I said, the even the replica market with luxury watches are fantastic, and then people do buy them. But even people who do buy the everyone does pay the premium on the the item that they know was handcraft. That was, let's say, for example, a watch and you know the name of the watchmaker, the house where the watch was made, the institution where the watch was made, etc. To that point, I think that with regard to certain movies, works of art, etc., with the proliferation of AI, certain films, certain things where certain pieces of music, even where
It just emboldened the art. It just emboldened the artists to step their game up. They can't just go with, okay. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's like you can't just go with AI free. So what? Consumers are going to look at what sells and like, okay, so what? You do something, but like, what does it make it stand out against others? At the end of the day, it's all about free market competition of ideas. And so this is, to me, the AI free is really going to, and I think long term is going to inject, just a higher level of just artistry and creativity that we haven't seen, in quite some time.
No, spot on. What do you call it? Let me do a time check. All right. Well, we're at the 47-minute mark. Here, let's just do this. We'll skip our architecture today. I got a 4-minute clip because we were actually just talking about agents and etc. And then, there's the ongoing conversation about at some point China going to surpass us in AI, et cetera, because they're turning out more engineers, et cetera, et cetera. Theo and I were having a conversation about that last Sunday, and I was saying that is true. You see what happened with DeepSeek because they open sourced the project, et cetera, et cetera. I said, but at the same time, I lived in China for 2 years, and because it is a state-run country, even though they're churning out that many engineers, they've got the brain trust, et cetera, et cetera. Because the private sector is stifled, they have a challenge in terms of vertical integration, in terms of speed of product to market.
Flatlining. There's a flatlining.
Exactly. So to that point, Chef Tab instead. This is something really short. It's a 4-minute video, but it's about apparently OpenClaw has been introduced to China, and they're going mad over it over there. So I'm actually just want to play a little bit of this. I just want your feedback on this because it ties into this into that conversation.
Bro, you've been covering China tech for quite some years. Can you tell us how China's tech and startup circle has been reacting to the OpenClaw frenzy?
Sure. I think this whole thing may be even crazier in China. So many tech founders became completely obsessed with the OpenClaw back in January, and they immediately started looking for new opportunities that could come out of this. And they're developing new products or new business models using AI agents. So one example is a founder I spoke to in Hangzhou, and he was really inspired by Notebook, which is like a social network for AI agents that came out of OpenClaw. And his startup organized a hackathon last month to create all other kinds of apps for AI agents, like for example, the equivalent of Tinder for AI agents, or a recruiting site for AI agents. And there are other types of people, like I talked to a guy in Beijing who is using OpenClaw to scale up his one-man business of running social media accounts for AI influencers. And basically, he built a whole fleet of OpenClaw agents running on secondhand MacBook Air that he bought, like a dozen of them. And so, yeah, it looks like all kinds of founders are jumping on this opportunity. And some of those people are saying this is because they they feel like they have to do it right now because they know that all the other entrepreneurs in China will be doing the same. Your competitors will be launching something if you don't do it right now. So they feel like they have to respond.
So sounds like quite a bit of a fear of missing out going on there.
Absolutely.
I just want to quickly circle back on the Tinder for AI agents idea. How's that supposed to work? Is it something built for AI agents to date each other, fall in love with each other?
So I think that one, the idea is that because AI agents are kind of working on behalf of the human owners, so if they understand the human owners, preferences, love interests really well, then the agents can go meet with other agents also representing humans. And then I guess the goal is, ultimately the humans can eventually meet based on what the agents have arranged for them.
Well, let's hope when when the date happens, it's the actual human showing up. So China's tech giants have also made a lot of great strides in open source AI models from Alibaba to ByteDance. How are these companies reacting to this?
So they also moved very quickly. Even around the end of January, they started offering services to run OpenClaw on their cloud platforms. And this is something that the big US cloud providers haven't done. And I think the idea is to give their users very easy access to OpenClaw, so they don't need to buy expensive, computers to run it on their own.
I see. And what about hardware? I mean, China is very good at producing all kinds of tech gadgets and hardware. Is there potential for AI agents to be deployed or combined in some way with hardware?
Yes, definitely. So hardware manufacturers are also paying very close attention. They've been, launching their own projects. And I spoke to, for example, a startup in Guangzhou, and they make smart device chargers that people can use in, offices or homes. And those guys immediately started working on new software to basically allow the users of their gadgets to remotely control them using OpenClaw agent, by talking to OpenClaw agent on messaging apps. So definitely all of these, gadget hardware, companies are also, seeing an opportunity here. And again, they also.
Okay, so there's basically been an explosion of use of OpenClaw starting in January 2026. I don't know if it just recently became available to them in China, et cetera. I don't know what the restrictions are, but basically he's detailing an explosion of basically innovation with the new tool, and everyone rushing to build something ASAP before they either lose use of it or before the use of OpenClaw is widely proliferated through China. So it's the first to market syndrome. What say you?
You hit it there. I mean, like OpenClaw is something. It seems like it's really good for smaller markets, or like if you're just doing like a particular product or application. It's just very quick at being able to, build platforms, or software that typically you would have to go and get someone to do all of that, and just the speed to it. And the other thing too is, which I think they talked about, is how Claude agents are able to communicate between each other based on the preferences of the user. So let's say they mentioned like a Tinder-like app where the agents essentially, based upon the specific requirements from the user, go and connect through like some kind of API. And on the surface, it's actually really cool because it's able to handle and do a lot of things on its own based on, certain policy. I call it like policy as code or event-driven decision making. But the problem that you have with this is that it's not fully autonomous. Someone behind the scenes is pulling the strings. And you kind of talked about it first because it's like, all right, security. We're allowing too much access. We're giving too much access to Claude to do lots of things to potentially can hurt and wreck against us with our information, because it could work against us if we have actors in place who essentially can take possession, repossess, so to speak, our assets. So we almost have like these agents. While they are helpful, they seem like on paper, oh, they're doves, they're like angels as pure as snow. But the reality of it is they're hijacking and reprocessing our stuff. You know, we have to exercise some degree of access control. And so one of the things that from agent to agent is that they are similar to event. There are really event-driven behaviors, but we also have to think about how we go about setting limits on what the agent can and cannot do. We have to really keep that in mind. This is not just for Claude, but just in general when we're talking about implementing agentic AI systems. We still have to deal with federating access controls. Although this is within an agent zone, we still have to federate what it has access to, what it cannot do. You have to explicitly declare that, and within that environment, just like we have to in any environment that we deal with. Like it's like there's certain things that are there's like a contract. The contracts, there's certain things we have access to, and we don't have access to. We're limited on how much we can use at a certain time frame of how much we can do things. So in a sense, this is great, but also the trade-off is we need to really reinforce zero trust and policies to ground our agentic AI systems, so we don't have the issues that Claude is having right now, where people like the Claude, like it's getting too high and mighty. We give it too much access of information, too much levels of access, and so I think that's one of the things that we have to keep in mind as we go forward in this innovative age for agentic AI systems.
I agree, and like I said, if your agents are able to get hacked and hijacked, you basically got a bunch of agents running around with power of attorney.
Exactly. Like again, you what do you say? You have the inmates running the asylum.
Yeah, I mean, especially if it can function as you and has access to your assets and can make financial transactions for you. Like I say, you got a bunch of people running around with a power of attorney.
Right. And one of the things that for me as an architect and just just being at this for a minute, it's like the more I learn about AI, the more I read about it, the more demystified I am from it. I'm not as like warm or like towards the things that are being put out there. I'm kind of like, okay, back in my mind, I'm like, all right, this is not really that net new. It's just that we need to be more mindful with who we trust in terms of whether it be an open source or closed source. We have to understand that we have to establish access controls, limits, checks and balances in place so that we don't just use the technology irresponsibly. Like we use it, soberly. We're not too blinded by the hype. We're not chasing hype wagons. We're here. We're trying to actually use the technology so where it's an added benefit to the business and clients that we're doing, and we have to do it in a responsible way. So if we're going, this to me, this Claude phenomenon is just it's just a case study of not only of just the benefits that it has, but also the risk tolerance that people are just like throwing out the window. They're just throwing that out the window right now, and they're just using it. And it's like, no, we have to like keep it harnessed. If we don't harness these agents in, we're going to have a lot of problems where people getting their credentials stolen and fraud's just going to go through the roof.
No, I agree. I think at least with the building of platforms and products rapidly, it's prototyping and iterating. I think that in terms of development costs, I think that strips it all the way down. I think if someone has a budget or to your security concerns, I think that what's going to happen is we're going to have a fundamental structure change in the structure of the SDL software development life cycle, where you had certain key players in development teams, et cetera, et cetera. I think you may end up with a scaling down of the development team, and then people investing money into one or two, a junior or a senior AI sec, basically like a security officer to audit, development, to do real time auditing during the software development iteration process.
It really is an extension of that when you think about it, right? So let's say, we already have existing, like a SOC within an organization. Now it's just a matter of being consistent of implementing the SOC within the agentic AI framework.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think, yeah.
We're just making sure that when we are setting up and establishing these environments, that we have to look at it from a SOC, from a security, to ensure that that's consistent throughout the entire. Because this is the integration as we talk about this. We're integrating AI into an existing environment, so we need to make sure that the workflow that we're putting it in is compliant and is going to be, under the same principle of zero trust and security when we're establishing our agents and what they do.
No, spot on. And yeah, to the point I was saying, I think what's going to happen is we're going to see, and I'm sure there'll be a variation from institution or firm to firm or startup to startup based on their R&D and production needs. But I think what you're going to see, I mean, the ones who are smart at least, a full integration of the security role in the initial stages of the production cycle, and have it integrated in the various stages of iteration. And there might be actually active implementation of pen testing onto the actual frameworks. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, security is always top priority for me. But in the reality of a lot of companies,
yeah, but motherfuckers just want to build shit, bro. You know that.
We can build it in a. We can build it in a.
We'll build it and we'll retro frame the security. You know that's how everybody does it. You know that's how everybody does that shit. I'm doing it now. Like I'm doing it now. I got mad stuff built. I know there's all types of security. But you want a prototype ASAP.
Exactly. Like and there's ways of using it, but it's like we have to, make sure that we do it in a sandbox environment and then test it with synthetic data that in situations that reflect upon what our clients are dealing with, from not only from a data perspective, but also from security readiness. So we can test and see, is this actually helpful? Will this actually fit this within our risk appetite? And if it doesn't, then we don't use it. We don't put it into production. It's the militarized zone where we can test that. And I think part of it can help embolden organizations with really harnessing on rolling out AI security, because a lot of the AI projects fell to production because they only go with the tool first instead of security and organization first. Security organization first should be the priority in terms of like how we integrate that into our client systems. But when you just go, oh man, look at the new J's, look at the new Adidas, let me get them on. Man, don't even fit your foot, right? The sole is like it's like you walking, you're like you got duck feet, man. Like you can't even fit them. You know what I mean? It's like,
Right.
it's like if the glove don't fit, we must have quit. If the system doesn't work with our data, what's the point of having all of that access given to it when it's not really giving us that net benefit? Which goes back again to my Data Bro platform, Jim. Like, let's get a program that's going to fit within our macros. Oh, but look, man, look what they're doing over here and over there. Nah, man. We need to get our company's assets straight so we can get it performative. They may not need the hyper performative because they may not have the necessary data that's needed to get to that point. There's different varieties of data. Just like, okay, there's different gym equipment. Maybe they can do start off with some calisthenics. Let's get let's get some SQL in. Let's get some ETL in. Then if you want to go to the ML, then all right, let's get on the machines, right? Let's get that going. We can do some free weights, right? With the ML. And if you want to go and do like some really hardcore training and they've got billions of dollars of worth of assets, then yeah, let's bring in the big tools. Let's bring in the big boys in. That's when you get my trainer. You get me as a gym trainer and the Data Bro platform. Then we can get you hooked up. But not every company, not every use case requires that.
No, agreed. Oh snap, we're at 107, guy. That's your time. Got to get you up out of here.
Yeah, man. Hey, man. Yeah, this is awesome, man. This is an awesome stream. Those who are watching and even those who may be watching on the replay, like I said, just really data and AI is not that hard to understand. As I use the gym membership concept, you have to understand your macros. What are the gains that you're trying to get? And the company is the same way. What are the gains the company needs? What are their assets? What are they trying to gain? Understand that first. Ask them those questions first. Then talk about, okay, well, let's go about maybe using machine learning or AI to get there, to get that performance up. But we got to understand where we at. We got to get a diagnosis before we start doing the prognosis.
No, spot on. No, this was actually a really good stream. This goes in rotation too. Tight. Well, hopefully we'll have you back next week, man. Good luck with the interviews. You actually don't really need luck. Like I said, I think it's funny. Like I said, I mean, we got we got guys behind avatars and stuff here, but some of the guys that you guys are listening to, and especially that come through this channel, are very impressive in real life.
Yeah, we winning out here, man. Like we're winning out here. We just move in silence. That's it. We move in silence.
Yeah, man. So yeah, man, get with it. If you guys aren't registered for any of Theo's classes, I'll still be streaming my study sessions up until I pass the SAA, and then I'll probably be streaming the study sessions for the next cert I go after, and job placement, etc. I'm not gonna hold you any longer, man. Until next week, man. Thank you for coming by, supporting the channel, and hanging out with me, Dak.
Salute to you, Machismo. Salute to everyone in the chat. Salute to everyone in the replay.
Hey, see you guys next week.